I'm back.
Let's have a party.
I've come to collect some cargo.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah, I'm gonna swallow that, aren't I? I mean, you come up asking questions about cargo, and I won't tell you about the cargo. Then, miraculously, you're here to collect some cargo. You must think I was born yesterday.
Well, I can always take this shipping order to your boss and say that you wouldn't let me collect my cargo.
Okay. Well, let's not be too hasty, eh? I mean, I have to be skeptical, right? I'm a watchman. Where would we be if people like me weren't just a little bit cynical? All right. You win.
I eventually persuaded the Watchman to show me the ledger for the recent deliveries. The Milka had been carrying some wine barrels that were shipped to the Cafe Ankh and some crates under the name Varberg. According to the Watchman, they were collected by the Guild of Archaeologists, Antiquarians, and Tomb Evacuators. I guess somewhere was the von Uberwald crate that went with the shipping order, but the Watchman didn't know about it, and there was no sign of it in the warehouse. Well, I'm back. Listen carefully, Malachite. I've been patient with you, and you owe me a favor. I need you to use the grapple to pull something out of the River Ankh. I don't know for sure what it is, but it's big. Too big for me to lift. But you could do it, and I figure you owe me one.
Find Therma!
All right, you big dumb troll. I'll carry on looking for Therma if you help me get this thing out of the river. Do we have a deal?
I pull thing. You find Therma.
Yes? You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Or something. Whatever you want scratched, within reason.
Don't want scratching. Find Therma.
Okay. You pull thing, I find Therma. Got it?
Need grapple.
That may be the first intelligent thing you've said to me. Ready now?
You lead.
With pleasure. I hadn't been able to move whatever it was in the river. Malachite pulled it up onto the bridge like it was made of paper. I wasn't surprised to learn it was Regin's carriage, but it still wasn't clear how it ended up going off the bridge. Amidst the wreckage, I found a small ornamental box. But before I could examine it in detail, Malachite took an interest. I didn't want to give it to him, but he looked like he'd rupture a fault line if I didn't. He kept insisting that the box proved that Therma was alive, or at least that's my best interpretation of what he was trying to say. With his usual annoying habit, Malachite just walked off, taking the box with him. That left me to get back to my usual habit of not really knowing what was going on. There was no doubt that it was Regin, and there was no doubt that he was dead. The poor sap must have suffocated in the Ankh. I searched Regin's body, but all I found was a pair of tiny bite marks on his ankle. Either he'd been bitten by a snake or a very small vampire. One thing had been bugging me since I'd found Regin's body. In the iconograph that the Count had given me, Regin was bald. Here, in the flesh, Regin had a full head of hair. I had to pull hard on his toupee to get it off. Regin must have glued it on to stop it from flying off as he drove the carriage. Underneath the toupee was a small key. I guess it must have been important, or he wouldn't have glued it to his head. The carcass of Regin's carriage lay on the bridge like a beached whale. I searched it, but I'd already found everything of interest. The remains of a crate was all that was left. Can we talk, or do I have to play that stupid game again?
Business is slow, we can talk.
Now your pockets are a little fuller. Does this key mean anything to you?
Yeah, I know what it is. It's a safety deposit key for the boxes here in Saturnalia.
Thanks. Time to excuse myself from the table, I think. I figured a really good private investigator could do a lot of painstaking research and work out which box belonged to Regin. But I figured, hey, the guy's a dwarf. So I just tried all the lockers on the bottom row. It fitted into box 39 like a glove. Eventually. Inside was an envelope and a bracelet with carved wooden charms. The plot thickened, and you could already stand a spoon up in it.
I see Sir has returned.
Sir has.
Who would Sir like to see?
Is the Count receiving guests?
No, but he will see you.
I've got a few more questions for you, Count.
Yes, good questions. Go on.
I'm afraid I have some bad news for you.
It's Regin, isn't it? He's dead.
I'm afraid so. I found his carriage near the Magdalen Bridge. It must have lost control and skidded into the river. Regin must have drowned, or suffocated. It's hard to say with a river like the Ankh.
Very well, of course. I will pay you for your time. If you should hear anything else in connection with this case, please let me know. Otherwise, consider the case closed.
There is one thing. I think Regin may have been involved with a troll singer named Therma. I'm not really sure about the details. I'm sort of investigating the Therma case at the moment. But since I'm not getting paid for it, I may have to give it up.
Indeed. How would you feel if I were to pay you for the Therma case and you continued to investigate it?
I'd feel a little bit richer and a lot happier.
Very well. It's agreed.
This empty envelope belonged to Regin. Does it mean anything to you?
An empty envelope? I don't understand.
Neither do I. Recognize this?
Yes, I do. It is Regin's Charm Bracelet. I gave it to him.
Is there something special about it?
It's been in the family for years. I'm not sure where it came from, but I believe that the charms were carved from the wood of the serendipitous redwood.
What?
They were very, very old trees, and they grew very tall. Up to a mile, if the texts can be believed. The trouble was they were very top-heavy, and the slightest wind would knock them over.
How do they grow so tall?
That was the thing, you see. They'd fall over, but they were unbelievably lucky. They'd prop themselves up against each other like a house of cards.
Lucky trees?
Oh, believe me, as a student of flora, I have seen many such strange things evolve. Strangeness is indigenous to the Discworld.
What happened to the redwoods?
Someone cut one down, and the rest came down like dominoes. They crushed the fellow with the axe, I believe.
I guess they weren't so lucky for him. I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.
Taking a break, Samael?
Oh, yes. It's not easy working the piano all night.
Well, I'm sure you deserve it.
Thank you, Mr. Lewton.
You don't have to call me Mr. Samael. We're old friends.
Sure thing, Mr. Lewton. Old friends. I reckon I've earned the right to call you Mister.
As long as that's what you want. How's business, Samael?
It's pretty good, Mr. Lewton. How are things with you?
Not so good. I think I'm so deep in trouble that I haven't even realized it yet.
You haven't had much luck, have you, Mr. Lewton?
Not since the Hotel Pseudopolis.
That was when... Oh, I see.
That's okay, Samael. I don't mind talking to you about it. You're like family. Apparently, some of the cargo on the Milka was delivered here.
That's right. The Milka always brings us a supply of Ephebian wine.
Where is it now?
Most of it is still in the wine cellar. We sell some of it on.
Who to?
Lots of different people. I have a box of receipts in the cellar if you're interested.
Sure.
I'll give you the key.
Years ago, it would have been my dream to stand in the Cafe Ankh's wine cellar. So many barrels of fine wine. Even Chateau Hector, Year of the Weevil. My favorite vintage. I used to dream of Ilsa, too, from time to time. So when I walked in to find Ilsa there, I had to check I wasn't wearing my pajamas. Two Conkers was in no state to talk to me. Hello again, Ilsa. I can see I'm going to have to get used to finding you where I least expect. You didn't say goodbye at the casino. What happened to you?
We got away, thanks to you.
It was nothing.
It wasn't nothing. You saved our lives, Lewton.
Lulu, is that you?
What's up with him?
He's delirious. He's been injured.
Let me have a look at his wound.
He'll be fine. He needs a chance to rest, that's all. He fades in and out a little, but he'll be okay.
What happened?
It was Remora. He's been following us. He won't quit.
He's an assassin. It's his job. Once they've been paid, the target is as good as dead. They never renege on a contract. They throw great soirees as well, and if they invite you, they won't take no for an answer.
That's not much comfort.
Well, at least you know if an assassin kills you, you're not going to be killed by some thug. They're very efficient at it. Practice makes perfect, you might say. I was going to be an assassin once.
What happened?
The usual. Forces outside my control.
It is you, from casino. You save our life. We to be in your debt.
I guess you to be just that.
We need your help, Lewton.
Haven't I done enough for you?
I know it's a lot to ask after what happened.
Women. It's never enough for you, is it?
Please, you have to find us somewhere safe to hide.
Why? Why should I do that for you? Why should I do anything for you?
Not for what happened, Lewton. For what we had. Once.
We had a dream. Trouble is, I woke up and I could still remember it. Does he know about us?
2 conkers? No, I never told him.
Why not?
He's my husband.
You're married?
I always was, even when I met you.
Why didn't you tell me?
It's not as simple as that. I met 2 conkers in Ikalpon. He was on a secret dig for the Sun Emperor and we fell in love.
I thought the Agateans weren't supposed to know about the outside world.
That's true, but the outside world isn't supposed to know about the Agatean Empire either. Trouble is, centuries ago, their empire spread beyond the counterweight continent, and there's archaeological evidence for the strange and charmed Quack dynasties all along the Turnwise Ocean coast. The Sun Emperor sent 2 conkers out to cover up the evidence.
This doesn't explain why you didn't tell me you were married when we met.
2 conkers went back to the Agatean Empire, and I stayed behind. He wasn't sure I'd be safe there as an outsider. I didn't think I'd ever see him again. He might as well have died. I almost died too, until I met you.
Great. I was your number 2 husband.
You don't understand, Lewton. I didn't love 2 conkers. I mean, I was infatuated with him, and he needed me. I was nothing before I met him. He gave me a purpose. He gave me a life.
Oh, that's good. Because he took mine. At least his accounts will balance. He came back, didn't he? That's why you left me.
Yes. I got a letter from him saying that the government had been overthrown, and the Empire was a new world. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't think you'd understand.
At least you got that right. So, you're Mrs. Ilsa Conkers.
No, I kept my maiden name. Our marriage was supposed to be a secret.
So you've been traveling with 2 conkers for quite a while now.
Yes, we've been making our way around the Circle Sea. There have been several digs.
And everything you find goes back to the Agatean Empire.
No, not now. There's no point. Most of it comes here to Ankh-Morpork. We give it to the Guild of Archaeologists, Antiquarians, and Tomb Evacuators. They have quite a collection of artifacts.
That's it? You spend your life digging up junk that no one ever sees?
We're looking for something. Something 2 conkers wants to take back to the Agatean Empire.
What is it?
A jewel.
Jewel. Find jewel, yes?
Tell me about this jewel.
Gold-plated jewel. Very old.
I thought the Agatean Empire had plenty of gold.
Special artifact. Gold to be making it come from Agatean Empire. Stolen by one of your gods. Great fortune to Empire if it can be returned to us.
How will you know if you found it?
Gold-plated jewel not common. This jewel be having inscription. Unquam paratas.
It means forever ready.
You don't even know if this jewel actually exists, do you?
We've just come from a dig in Tsorta. It's a village near the ruins of the ancient city of Tsort. We found inscriptions there of many artifacts, including this jewel. It exists all right. We just haven't been able to find it.
If all these inscriptions were in Tsorta, what are you doing here in Ankh-Morpork?
That's just it. The inscriptions claim that the jewel is here in Ankh-Morpork. Apparently, after the fall of Tsort, the jewel was held by monks in the village of Tsorta. But over 4 centuries, the Knights of the Order of the Sacred Tulip went out on quests to find it.
Why?
They were knights. They went on foolish quests all the time. It was a knight thing. I think all the different orders competed to outdo each other in foolishness. I heard the Knights of the Fairly Pink Triangle spent 2 centuries looking for a better name.
And you think one of the knights found it?
Apparently, the inscription said he took it to Ankh-Morpork, there to guard it forever.
Forever?
You know these ancient inscriptions. They have a tendency to exaggerate everything. It probably meant nearly forever.
I'm trying to track some of the cargo on the Milka. A set of crates that were supposed to belong to a Varberg.
That's me, Ilsa Varberg.
You never told me your name was Varberg.
Names weren't that important to us back then, if you remember.
I guess not. So the crates are yours?
Mine and 2 conkers, yes. They should be at the Guild of Archaeologists by now.
What was in them?
Artifacts from the dig in Tsorta. Nothing valuable except in the historical sense.
I need to get to them.
I can get you into the guild if you want, but it'll cost you.
What do you want?
Find us somewhere safe to hide 2 conkers. He's not safe while Remora is looking for him.
That's true, but nowhere in the city is going to be safe.
You'll have to find somewhere that no one would even think of looking for him.
It'd take a miracle to conceal 2 conkers, and the Patrician has outlawed miracles.
That's my price. If you hide 2 conkers, I'll sign you into the guild. You'll never get in there without me.
I'll do what I can. That's all I can do.
That's all I ask.
If I find somewhere to hide him, you'll take me to the crates?
I'll get you into the guild, but you're on your own after that. That's my offer. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Do you know anything about the wine barrels the Milka was carrying?
Sorry, Lewton. We don't know anything about that.
I'll be back.
We're not going anywhere.
I rooted carefully through the receipts, and the only recent purchaser was the Patrician. It seems he'd bought a number of barrels of fine wine to take to the palace. I guess the golem I'd seen at the cafe was owned by Lord Veterinary. I knew that someone had pushed the card under the door, and I knew what it meant. It meant that I should have fitted a letterbox.
Have arranged meeting with Therma on the rooftops at the junction of Salis Street and Phedre Road. Come immediately.
Salis and Phedre. There wasn't much around there. Nice and quiet. Well, I'm back. It's not been easy, but I've arranged a meeting with Therma.
Take me there. Take me to Therma.
In a moment. First, there's a couple of things we need to discuss.
Take me to Therma. Take me now.
Okay. Let's go. The rooftops above Salis and Phedre were quiet. No one had a reason to be up here. I was looking forward to meeting the mysterious Therma, and I was hoping I might get some answers out of her. Unfortunately, the last thing I remembered was looking up at the moon. The next thing I knew, I was being arrested by the Watch. They told me Malachite was as dead as two sides of bacon, and I was the prime suspect. His back had been chipped away like he'd said something particularly insulting to a disgruntled quarry workman, and they seemed to think my crowbar was the murder weapon. I had the opportunity and a possible murder weapon. All they were missing was motive. And anyone who had ever tried to get an intelligent comment out of the troll had a motive to kill him. It looked like I'd been stitched up as nicely as a fine genuine tapestry. They took me to Pseudopolis Yard to be interrogated. They had a salamander lamp shining in my eyes, so I couldn't see what was going on, but I could hear Nobby and a troll talking in the darkness. It was probably Detritus, the first troll to join the Watch. Detritus was the troll many people in Ankh-Morpork thought of when they heard the word troll, bringing back as it does vague memories of sudden concussion and extreme pain. Sometimes you'd hear two short planks being described as thick as detritus. Your ideal street cop, in fact.
So I'm a good cop?
No, I'm the good cop. You're the bad cop.
Then, why don't I get to prod him a bit with my fists?
Because we're supposed to get information out of him, and it's hard to understand people talking through a mouthful of loose teeth.
I can smash lightly, more like a gentle caress, right?
No punching.
I can kick using minimal acceptable force. Like Mr. Vimes says, lots of it.
No punching, no kicking. We just talk to him.
Talk?
Right, well, I'll talk. You shout.
All right, you done it. Own up now, we know it was you.
No, not yet.
Oh, all right.
I've just got to start the audiograph.
Right. All right, you done it now. You got to sing like one of them flappy twittery things.
Wait! I've got to start the recording properly, otherwise it doesn't count. Right. Interviewing suspect Lewton. Present, Corporal Nobbs and Sergeant Detritus.
Now?
Now.
All right, you done it. You might as well make it easy on yourself. Everyone know it was you.
This is my interrogation, is it?
Don't you change the subject, you miserable excuse for our horse's donkey.
Just tell us what happened, Lewton.
Here the facts. Fact. Mundy was killed. You found at the murder scene.
I was unconscious.
How you knowing you was unconscious if you was unconscious, eh? Foiled you with logic. Now you listen to me good, and then we see who wears the long two-legged garments. Fact. Escape thingy, Mount Malachite.
Thingy? You mean troll?
Nah, not escape troll. Escaped,
Feline.
Escaped feline?
Yeah, he escaped from a holding cell.
Is it possible the word we're looking for here is felon?
That's the one.
What did he do?
Hey, we asked the questions, you miserable arugaraha. You know what arugaraha mean?
He knocked over the Van Uberwald Mansion.
I never knocked over the von Uberwald Mansion.
Now, that's what Malachite did.
So what does arugraha mean?
In the precise moment that dog droppings turn white.
I think you'd better get back to being the bad cop.
I'm the good cop.
Now, I'm the good cop.
So that make me
The bad cop.
So how come I not get to hit you then?
We can't beat him up, Detritus. That'd be police brutality.
It only brutality if you leave marks. What show? Escape thingy, Mount Malachite, was killed, and you was found at the murder scene there too.
Once again, I was unconscious.
Oh, how convenient for you. 2 murders and 2 unconsciousnesses. What about the murder weapon, eh? What about the crowbar?
Tell us where you got the crowbar, and I'll give you a smoke.
One of your dog ends? No, thanks.
I'll get you coffee. Maybe some cherry cake. New suit. You get to choose the colour.
I think you're taking this good cop role too seriously.
Thank you. Now my turn. You want to fall down the steps to the cell without leaving your chair? It's fine by me.
Look, I had a meeting with a troll named Therma on the rooftops of Salis and Phedre. I'd arranged it on Malachite's behalf, and when we got there I must have been knocked unconscious by the killer. I know it sounds improbable, but that's how it happened.
2 murders, and you happen to be unconscious at the scene of both.
You got to admit, Lewton, it's a little far-fetched.
You want I should make up a defense? You want I should lie? This is the Lawyers' Guild all of a sudden?
Just tell us what you know.
I've told you all I know.
How come you know Malachite?
I met him in the streets. He wanted me to find someone called Therma.
When you find out he was a felony?
A felon. And I didn't find out until just now.
Lewton, you're going down for murder. I don't think it's worth pretending you don't know who Malachite was.
I didn't know who he was. Do I need to draw you a map?
To what?
It just doesn't seem right, Lewton. You being a detective and all, and not knowing one of your clients was an escaped felon.
What can I say? I guess I'm not as good a detective as you are. You want to know what else?
I wouldn't mind that map you mentioned. Might make things a little clearer.
Shut up, Detritus. There isn't a map.
He said there was.
I kept following Malachite's case because it intrigued me, and the more I dug, the more interesting it became.
What did you find out?
I don't know. I guess I learned that I shouldn't have tracked down Therma. It seems likely to me that she's Malachite's murderer. Why don't you interrogate her?
There's no troll named Therma in Ankh-Morpork. You expect us to believe that this Therma killed Malachite and Monday and framed you for both? Come on, sing like a pigeon on a stool. You done it, didn't you?
There's no reasoning with you, is there?
Not often.
Come on, you ugly sewer scraping. We want something we can believe.
That's enough, Detritus.
Sir?
You can go.
I did it right?
Let's say you were everything I expected. Now go and write up the report. Not in crayon this time, please.
That should keep him busy for a few days.
He may be slow, but he's not an untrustworthy killer like you.
Why the personal interest in this case, Vimes? I'm sure you've got more important things to do now you're commander of the watch.
My reasons are my own.
You're not interested in my guilt or innocence. You're just out to nail me.
Frankly, Lewton, I've got all the evidence of your guilt I need, and if I get my way, they'll lock you up and melt down the key for scrap iron. You're a bad cop, and I don't have any time for you.
If you're so convinced of my guilt, why the interrogation?
Nobby has this deranged idea that there might be some extenuating circumstances that we ought to find out about.
It'd make everything a lot easier if you'd confess, Lewton. I'm sure you had a good reason to do what you did. Let us help you. Cigarette? Holiday for 2 in Quirm, sea-facing room, we pay the minibar bill?
I'm not guilty and I'm not confessing to a crime I didn't commit.
Listen to me, Lewton. We're conducting this interrogation because I believe in upholding the law.
There is no law in Ankh-Morpork.
True enough, but there's my law, and there's the Patrician's law. Which would you rather face?
What's the difference?
Lord Veterinary considers it a happy state of affairs if the punishment can involve the actual perpetrator, but sees it as by no means essential. I consider it to be absolutely essential.
But you've already decided that I'm guilty.
That doesn't mean I've proved it.
And if I prove my innocence?
That's not going to happen.
Then what's the point of this farce?
Smoke?
No.
The thing is, Lewton, we just want to find out what happened.
Do one decent thing in your life, Lewton. Help us close this case.
Why should I?
So we can close this sorry little act and concentrate on the threat to the city.
The threat?
The counterweight killings.
Doesn't it make more sense that both Mundy and Malachite were killed by this so-called counterweight killer?
That's what you'd like us to believe, isn't it? You make the murders look like the counterweight killings and hope to get away with it.
That's it, isn't it? You're not interested in me. You want to catch the counterweight killer.
You're just a low-life killer, Lewton. My job is to protect citizens from people like you.
What? You don't even like them much. You think they're all criminals.
Maybe. But murder leaves the place too messy.
Look, Lewton, we don't think you're involved with the counterweight killings. But we have to know which ones are which if we're going to stop him from killing again. This is your chance to be a hero. To help us to catch a foreign assassin.
A hero? There's nothing I can do to save myself. Why should I care about the rest of the city?
You were a good man once, Lewton. This could be your one shot at redemption.
I was never that good a shot.
You ought to know, Lewton, that you're a suspect in the counterweight killings. That crowbar of yours was palace property, which means you had access to at least one of the murder sites.
You're getting desperate, aren't you?
We're wasting our time with you.
What about Regin?
The dead dwarf? What about him?
Another murder in suspicious, almost ritualistic circumstances. He's a nobody, but it has all the hallmarks of a counterweight killing.
Are you confessing to the murder of Regin?
No. I'm just saying that Mundy and Malachite aren't the only nobodies to get bumped off in mysterious circumstances.
There was nothing mysterious about Regin's death.
People don't just drive carriages off a bridge for no reason.
He was driving recklessly across the city. It's probably just a suicide. Maybe he was just drunk.
What about the bite marks?
Bite marks?
There weren't any bite marks. I looked.
Regin was murdered. I'm sure of it.
You've got bigger problems than that right now, Lewton. I suggest you concentrate on them.
Surely you have other suspects for the murders I'm accused of, even if you don't think they're part of the counterweight killings.
Smoke? A set of the complete plays of Whirl the dwarf bound in nearly real leather?
No, I don't want a smoke. I want to know who the other suspects are.
At the moment, you're top of our list.
Although you are the bottom of our list, too.
I am the list, aren't I?
Sorry.
Don't apologize, Nobby. Listen, Lewton. There are other suspects for the counterweight killings, and we're investigating those. But for Mundy and the Troll, you're the bottom line.
What about Alkali?
Alkali?
One of Horst's cronies. I think he's been following me.
I guess I could interview him.
Why do I have a feeling that you won't?
Face it, Lewton. You killed Mundy. You killed Malachite. And you tried to make it look like it was part of the counterweight killings.
Nothing I say is going to convince you of my innocence, is it?
It doesn't look that way.
All right. Yes, I was in Mundy's room when he was killed, but I was unconscious. And yes, I was on the rooftops when Malachite was killed. Again, I was unconscious. I don't know what happened, but somebody knocked me out, and whoever they are, they're the one you should be looking for.
Fine. If that's the way you want it, that's the way you'll get it. Give my regards to Lord Veterinary when your trial comes up. I doubt he'll be as patient with you as I have. The fact is, mister, that with you behind bars, the city will be a slightly better place.
They delivered me into the hands of the palace guards, who delivered me into the walls of a holding cell. I had a bad feeling about the way things were going. Mostly people who were sent to the Patrician for trial got seen right away. Rumor had it that being put in a holding cell pending trial was like being filed away in a drawer marked forgotten, and not a very big drawer at that. The wall to the cell had a nice dank feel to it. I expect it was Cell Wall of the Month in Home and Dungeon. The door to the cell was so stereotypical I half expected to look around and find a bearded old man manacled to the wall. I could find nothing out of the ordinary about the wall. Fast little fellow, he disappeared the moment I started moving. No matter what I did, that rat was too quick for me. The rat had disappeared in a small crack in the wall. The question was, where had he gone? As I worked my fingers around the crack, it became clear that the crack was the side of a loose slab. The other side of the wall was another cell, but nothing like the holding cell. This was full of sketches and models, tools and materials. It looked more like a workshop, and there was someone working in it.
Would you like a cup of tea?
No, thanks.
Are you sure? Or are they not drinking tea outside anymore?
Outside?
The city. I take it you're from the city. How is it? Same as ever, I suppose.
You're Leonard da Quirm.
Yes, I am.
I'd found Leonard da Quirm. The man was almost a legend. There was no disputing that Leonard was a technological genius. But this meant he was as dangerous to the precarious stability of Ankh-Morpork as a compulsive smoker in a firework factory. Rumor had it that the Patrician had locked him in a nice airy cell for everyone's safety, because Leonard was the kind of guy who'd light any fuse for the innocent pleasure of seeing what kind of bang he could make. The only other thing I could recall was that although the guy was hot stuff at the nuts and bolts, he was definitely at the bottom of the class when it came to thinking up names. The Patrician keeps you imprisoned here,
Sorry?
You're working for the Patrician?
Not really. He calls from time to time and has a look at some of my sketches. Nice man. He keeps me abreast of events on the outside.
What's that you're working on?
This is my flapping wing flying device. I built a small prototype out of gutta percha strips, twisted tightly together, and it worked. Although not very well. Now I'm building a full-scale model.
Does it fly?
Not yet. But once I've solved the problem of the weight of the holding it together frame and the mechanical faults with the spinning blades radiating from the central hub, it should do. I was having trouble getting enough force to twist the blades together, but the troll the other week sorted that out for me.
Troll?
Yes. He was staying in your room before you. He made this window for me so I could watch the bird. Always good for inspiration are the birds. Not that I don't have enough inspiration as it is. Damn things. Just once I'd like to wake up without finding my sheets covered in sketches of novel designs for apple peelers.
Did you give the troll some metal strips by any chance?
Yes. He made them into a metal hook with prongs, I believe. Not one of my designs.
His name was Malachite.
Was it? It's possible. I never was good with names.
Hello again, Leonard.
Yes. Hello?
What are you doing?
I'm deeply immersed in a mechanical problem.
Can I help?
It's not likely.
I kept waiting for him to say something else, but he was lost in his work. Covered with wood, wire, paints, drawing materials, sketches, cartoons, and glue. The table was either the product of a highly deranged or a highly arranged mind. The gaping hole had been created by Malachite to escape from the palace. Leonard liked to think of it as a window. At that moment, I thought I heard the sound of someone at the door to my cell. My heart leapt to my throat and narrowly missed my tonsils. I had to get back to my cell and fast.
Hello, Lewton.
Nobby, what are you doing here?
I've come to let you go.
Does Vimes know you're here?
Yeah, he sent me.
What happened?
There's a witness to Malachite's murder. Saw the whole thing, although not very well. He couldn't identify the killer, but from the description we got from him, we can rule out you.
So, I'm off the hook?
More or less.
Vimes must be livid.
I've seen him happier, but he's still convinced you're involved in this somehow.
I dare say he has a point, actually. But I'm not a cold-blooded killer, whatever he may think. Who was the witness?
A gargoyle up on the roof of the clerk's office on Salis Street.
What did he see?
I'm not supposed to discuss that with you. Come on, let's get you out of here.
You won't get any arguments from me.
Right, here's your stuff.
Where's the crowbar?
We're keeping that as evidence.
Yeah, right. I'll see you around, Nobby. Thanks for coming to get me out. I appreciate it.
That's what friends are for, isn't it?
Friends are for getting you out of a holding cell?
Could be. I ain't got that many.
You won't get any argument from me. See you later. I had this feeling that I was caught in the middle of something big, but I still hadn't a clue what it was. All I could do was keep searching and hope that sooner or later I'd stumble upon the truth. Well, maybe not stumble, just very carefully put my foot on it and hope the other end didn't come up and hit me in the teeth.